Welcome back to the vendor table. Hey, Lauren.
Hi, Mike.
How you doing?
I'm still recovering from your shirt.
It's iconic. I can't wait.
I'm not going to lie, it is iconic. I do like it. Thank you.
I want you to wear your shirt. Wear the shirt of you.
I will.
Around the house or something.
What if I wear it to the house? Oh, no, he won't be home. Damn.
Wear it on a photo shoot.
Oh, my God.
With one of your clients. It's a lot of Lauren.
Is that a dare?
It's a whole lot of Lauren. Is it a dare? Yes, I dare you.
Okay.
That'd be great. And you need to, I guess your clients love you, so.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'll wear it. I will. I'll do it. Okay.
So I had like a scary wedding dream.
Uh-oh.
The other day.
What happened?
It's like, I feel like every wedding vendor has this dream once a year. I do once a year. Do you ever wake up or you having a dream that you overslept?
Oh, God, yeah.
For a wedding? Or in this case, I had a dream that I had a wedding and I arrived at the couple's house and I missed their wedding by a day. And they were like, "Where were you? Our wedding was yesterday." And I was like, "Why didn't you call me?"
Did you wake up in like a full-blown panic?
Like I woke up in a sweat.
Oof.
Cold sweat.
You know those dreams where you like jolt yourself awake, where you're just like
yeah,
something flies at you or hits you and you're just
sweat.
like, ugh.
I don't think I've had scary dreams. I think that's the scariest dream I've had in recent memory. Yeah, and it was so real. And I don't remember the couple that it was about, because it was just like blank face. But I just remember being like just white as a ghost, like just being like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
So,
you just don't know what to do.
Several years ago, I had a doubleheader weekend, and they both had like similar start times, but one was like an hour earlier, and I confused the two. And I got a text from my second, and this is like a while ago. I got a text from my second, and he was like, "Hey, I'm parked at the hotel. I was in my bed."
Oh, no.
This is a real life story. So I full blown just jumped out of my bed, didn't even brush my teeth. I got dressed and headed out the door. I was a fucking hot mess. And I showed up like, I had my second start with the bride. And like, I like got there. I think I was like 30 minutes late. And I texted the bride and she was like, "It's fine." She was the chillest bride of all time. She was like, "It's totally fine. There's someone here. Like she's here."
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. But yeah, it was the stuff of nightmares. When your heart is like thumping in your throat and you're just like, "Oh my fucking God."
Yep.
That happened to me.
Yeah.
It was the only time, and it was the most horrifying moment of my life, but I made it. And yeah, my breath was horrible all day because I didn't brush my teeth.
Oh. Yeah, that's my nightmare. That's
I'm fully blowing up my own spot, but like these are, we promised real talk, and here it is.
Wedding vendors all have that dream. I feel like every wedding vendor has had the dream where they either oversleep a wedding, or they show up on the wrong day, or they show up like, an hour, 2 hours past the start time or something like that. Or they forget something on the day up. Like every wedding vendor has had that dream.
How many times have you like had a moment where you were just like, did I charge my batteries? Did you ever have a moment where you accidentally forgot something at home?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had years ago, my cameras had memory cards, so they were good. And this was the Mark III days. So like long time ago. And the memory cards back then were like, I think 32 gigs. They weren't like...
And they were like CF cards?
They were CF cards. And like, I think they were CF NSD, but everything was 32 gigs. So you maybe got like 1,500 to 2,000 captures on a card if you were lucky, if you stretched it, right? So sometimes you'd have to change cards. And I remember I was at Stonebridge, so it was close to home. And I forgot my extra memory cards at home. Like it was in the case, and I had to call Sarah, and Sarah had to run them up. I didn't have to change cards throughout the day, thankfully. But at the same point, like you always want to have backups. You want to have backups. So I was like, and I was solo shooting. It was before I had or I didn't have a second shooter that day or something, like one of those packages where I didn't have a second shooter. So I was like, God forbid, if one of my cards doesn't work or something like that, like I'm fucked. So like she ran it up and like I remember getting the look. She's like, "You're an idiot."
Such a similar story, but 2 years ago, I was shooting it like at Danford's, and I forgot my flash batteries. They were on the chargers.
Oh.
And I was still doing prep, and I didn't need them, so I like called my husband, and I was like, "You need to run my flash batteries to the hotel because otherwise I can't photograph the reception." So he drove them over, and I was just like, "What the fuck is wrong with me?"
Spouses are unsung heroes.
They come in clutch.
Spouses, significant others are unsung heroes in the wedding season. Brides and grooms never know, but they're there.
Yep. There when you need them.
They're there when you need them.
Thank God for you, Patrick O'Brien. I love you.
Oh my God. My wife's name is Sarah. My last name is Cassara. So I'm gonna out my wife that I did that. I Julia Gouliard my wife. So
Julia Gouliard.
we call her Sarah Lynn Cassara. It breaks it up. It sounds nicer.
Sarah Cassara. I love it.
Her last name was Bermudez. It sounded so much better. I feel bad for my wife.
You ruined it.
I did ruin it. It's fine. I love her so much. 17 years, babe. All right, so we're going to get into our topic for today, which it's one of our most talked about clips, controversial clips. We posted this a while ago. I think it was our timeline episode or something like that where we talked about it. But should you do a first look at your wedding?
This was one of our first viral clips, and I feel like we need to elaborate a little bit more on what we were talking about.
Yes.
Because a lot of people from different regions specifically were like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So we just want to go in a little bit more in detail on what we were talking about with the vortex of chaos, no first look.
Gotta love the vortex of chaos.
We were not saying that every wedding that doesn't do a first look is chaos, because there are going to be situations where not having a first look just makes sense, i.e. church.
Yes.
So that's not to say everyone has to do a first look. And even if you don't want to do a first look, Mike and I are not putting our feet in the sand and saying,
you have to do one.
You must. Like, we
You
don't
have to
mean
do a
that.
first look.
But we're going to explain a little bit more in detail why we do first looks and if you should have one based on your day.
Yes. So Lauren kind of said it, but if you're doing a church ceremony, most of the time you do not have to do a first look, okay? You're reserving that moment for seeing each other down the aisle, right? But if you're going to do a church ceremony, it's important to have a gap after your church and your cocktail hour, and in between your cocktail hour, right? So that gap is given to your photos if you want to do photos, right? So sometimes that gap is 2 hours. In an ideal world, okay, you could pretty much, I think most photographers in the industry, in the wedding industry, could get bridal portraits, bridal party photos, as well as family photos done within a 2 hour window.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's probably the most ideal amount of time that you could give to photographers to have. I've worked with an hour and a half. I could still do it an hour and a half. I could do an hour. Okay. I've done it in even less time. Okay.
Yep.
Does it get more stressful as the time gets less and less?
100%.
1,000%. And it's not just stressful for the photographer, it's stressful on the bride and groom. And it's not because the photographer exudes that stress onto the bride and groom. It's just how it is, because it's a higher pressure situation. You're moving quicker. You could see that, like, you know, you're trying to get things done quicker. If people aren't cooperating, you could see it like starting to get to your bride and groom because they want to go enjoy the cocktail hour. They want to go enjoy their day.
They'll start asking, like, what time is it? What time is it?
Yes.
And that's something like you kind of don't ever want to have to happen.
Exactly.
You want to put enough time in between so that they don't feel like they have to ask that question. And, you know, we know a lot of people who can do bridal portraits, family, bridal party in a short amount of time. And we know people that like to take their time and do it even longer than 2 hours. But 2 hours, I feel like, is the sweet spot for most of us. I schedule for about 2 hours, unless there's like a huge bridal party or big family. Maybe I'll extend it 30 minutes.
I try to say 2 hours max. Now, sometimes, if a couple consults me and they're like, okay, when should we have our church? Like our reception starts here, our cocktail hour starts here. When should we have our church? Some churches, at least here on Long Island, don't allow like you to have your ceremony whenever you want. Like you have a window. You have 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever it is, right? And it's like every 2 hours or something, because they have to have more than one ceremony. They have to have a buffer window in between so they could clean the church.
There might be mass or confession or something.
Something in between. So you have to take that into account, right? So I usually try to map that out with the couple and say like, hey, like, okay, like did the church give you a window of when you could do your ceremony? Is it, this time? Is it this time? Or did they say you could have it whenever you want? The church is yours for the day. Because if that's the case, I will help them just say, let's pick a time based around what works best. Because when you leave the church, you're traveling.
Right.
And we talked about this previously and on the Gen B episode, but we talked about buffer time. All right. Having buffer time in your schedule is the most important thing you're going to do as a wedding planner or a photographer, is building that into the couple schedule. Because having that buffer time from when you get into a car or a bus or a limo, whatever it is, and then traveling somewhere, it's never like you tuck and roll out of the car.
No. And it's also, if you're on a bus, like the bus will generally go slower than a normal car, or they have to go on, they can't go on parkways. Sorry, that's specific to Long Island, really. But on Long Island, where we're from, there are certain roads and like highways that
that's
they
anywhere.
can't go on, so they may take a longer way to get there. So you got to factor in how much and how long the travel is going to take, plus how long it takes for like a 20-person bridal party to actually get on a bus.
Yes. So it's, I think Jen actually said this in one of our clips, but 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get onto the bus, to load a bus. It's true, because then you got, your brother over here, like he's bullshitting with the cousin. It's like, get on the bus, Jimmy. You got to get on the fucking bus. We got to go take photos. And then the bus driver's like, all right, everyone sit down, blah, 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 blah. You got to get on the bus. And then like they want to crack open, beers, all that stuff. Bus finally gets underway. And like you said, it might take alternate routes, all that stuff. So you build in that buffer time. So, because you're not tucking and rolling out into photos. No. So I try to build that buffer time in so that we have at least 2 hours to an hour and a half for photo time if we're doing a church ceremony and then like photos after the church.
Right.
Okay. So that's what I try to do. Now, couples will be like here on Long Island or other regions too. They'll want to do their ceremony like on site.
Right. Like
at their venue, stuff like that. And those are the weddings that you should really be doing a first look for.
Right.
Okay.
We got a lot of feedback from people in other regions like the Midwest or in the South that cocktail hour is specifically blocked and allotted for the couple to do bridal portraits.
Which, can I just say, I'm going to speak out loud. That's fucking stupid. That's fucking stupid. I'm going to say it. Midwest, South weddings. That's stupid. Okay.
Our way is not the only way, and we know that, but this is going to, if you have never done this before, it's worth trying to schedule their photos prior to the ceremony and blocking out 2 hours prior to the ceremony to do a first look, if the couple wants to.
If the couple wants to, okay. And that's a big key here. Why I think this is stupid that the cocktail hour isn't for the bride and groom. Right? That people are making that argument that cocktail hour is for photos. Okay. The couple paid all that money for cocktail hour. Cocktail hour is the best time to meet the guests. And I get if you want to do a grand entrance, okay, and you want to come in and no one has seen you, like during cocktail hour, and you want to do the grand entrance to your reception, blah, 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 like, okay, you're going to take photos. They're going to see you from afar anyway, number one. So it's not really that kind of thing. And number two, okay, if you could relax during that time if you're not doing photos. That's a time to enjoy. You just got married. Take that in. Do you really want to, unless there's, let's just say epic sunset, okay? Like, because a lot of, now this time of year is like ceremonies are usually during golden hour, okay? I'll pull a couple for 5 minutes during their cocktail, 5 to 10 minutes during that cocktail hour to take sunset photos, okay? If there's a great sunset. If there's not a great sunset, I'm like, go enjoy your cocktail, go enjoy each other. If you want to just put your feet up in the bridal suite and relax with each other and take it all in, do that, right? But cocktail hour is for the bride and groom. I hate to say it. I don't care that like other regions don't think this, but guess what? They paid all that money. It should be for the bride and groom.
They also probably haven't eaten anything for hours.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
So
people are like, oh, they bring out food. Yeah, so they're shoving their face with food, like while they're taking photos. So you're not getting that done, and they're like,
this is a logistics thing.
This is a logistics.
This isn't us.
This whole topic is a logistics thing.
It's all logistics. It is merely a suggestion to try. If we have a few people who are just like putting their feet down, drawing a line in the sand over it. Like, this is how we do things. And that is fine. But this is going to make your life a lot easier, assuming the couple is open to trying it. I'm sure that in different regions, it's just tradition to do things a certain way. But if you merely make the suggestion that they might get their photos done ahead of time and then have hours to just chill at their wedding, they'll want to take it.
It's so much less stress. It's so much less stress. And you could see it on the bride and groom, on the day of the wedding. You truly can. When a couple has time to sit and relax, they just have so much more fun on a wedding day. They really do. You see it in their reception. You see it in their faces. You see it in the photos. Like, I could tell when couples are rushed. Like, I could see it in their photos, maybe because I've taken over 1 million photos in my lifetime. But at the same point, I could tell when a couple is a little bit stressed. And they're not stressed because of me. They're stressed because of the timeline.
Yeah.
I never make my couples stressed, by the way. I'm like, don't worry about it. If we're behind schedule, I say this all the time to my couples. If we're behind schedule, don't worry. We're going to make it up. I got it. Don't worry. We're going to get it done.
I usually tell them, you can start stressing when you see me start to stress.
And which is never.
Never.
Which is never.
Like, it's just one of those things. You just roll with the timeline that you've got and you do the best you can. There are going to be other times of the day where you can pull them for photos, but the idea is to get it all done ahead of time, like prior to the cocktail hour, so that they can just enjoy themselves. Is it always possible? No. But again, suggesting a timeline that's going to make more sense for them to just relax and enjoy their day and not be interrupted by us taking photos is the best option for them.
It's the best option. 100%.
I will also say that I know that we now have a lot of photographers from different regions and areas following us. On Long Island, our cocktail hours are crazy.
They're awesome.
They're crazy.
We've mentioned this before.
We have places that do...
We have sushi towers.
Sushi towers. They have...
Mashed potato bars.
A whole, like, suckling pig, like, bacon bars, like, all kinds of stations that are set up buffet style for people to pick at. And we're talking, like, sometimes, like, 20 stations.
Pasta stations. So good.
Cocktail hours are expensive here. They are extravagant, and they're huge. A
lot of food.
The last wedding that I went to was out of state in Texas, and it was basically like a charcuterie setup, and that was it. It was like a big charcuterie board, and then they had like the bride and groom signature drinks. I don't know if that's like the standard in other places or if it's like what we have here in other places. I'd love to hear from other people, other photographers, what they have experienced in their regions of what cocktail hour is like. But going to that wedding kind of opened my eyes a little bit that things are different other places. And that's why maybe the bride and groom does their newlywed photos during cocktail hour. What I will say also is that one of the weddings that we shot this past weekend, a guest asked me, they were like, is this dinner? Like,
yeah.
Because they were from West Virginia and had never seen a cocktail hour. She was like, they're serving dinner this early already? And like, we haven't even sat down. And I was like, no, this is actually a cocktail hour. That's why these cocktail hours are humongous. They're huge. They're a big deal. And most of the time people prefer that food to the actual sit down dinner.
Cocktail hour food is always better than the main course. It is. It's like you get sliders, mashed potato bar, mention that, sushi towers, you name it. Like it's picking appetizers, and who doesn't like appetizers? I'm just saying, they're delicious. So cocktail hour is bomb here. It's fucking awesome, and I think other regions should adapt to us.
my God. You are asking to be smited.
No, I can't. Go try to cancel me. Other
Also,
regions.
I'm not going to apologize to Florida for what I said. I said what I said.
Said what I said.
I said what I said. People came for me, and you know what?
Floridians are still coming after
Maybe
her.
I'm just from I lived in the trash part of Florida, so I'll admit that. I did. I lived in Florida trash. But maybe Miami, Fort Lauderdale, the Keys, I'm sure they have much better food. Maybe it's fresh. I'm sure it is. I'll throw some love your way, but Central Florida, I'm sorry, everything's trash. I said it.
She said what she said. Well, all right. Well, Florida's going to come
We're just
going to
get canceled for this episode.
I'm going to get canceled from Florida. That's fine. Never shooting a wedding in Florida, I guess.
Oh, no. I'm devastated.
Oh, God. Man. Well,
going straight to hell.
Well, so let's talk about the part with first looks for the couples, right? So a lot of couples will say this, I don't want to do a first look because I want that moment seeing my significant other down the aisle for the first time. I want that, turn your head moment, like jaw dropping, like just tears, like just, seeing that iconic moment that you've seen in movies and you've wanted your entire life. Okay. I get that. I truly do. Okay. I truly get that. And if that's what you want, that's awesome. Okay. And we'll give that to you. But there are times when that just doesn't work in the schedule. Okay. And it really doesn't. If you want all of these photos and you want everything, you want to do a photo with every family member, every bridal party member, and you also want portraits of the two of you together.
And your parents are divorced and they don't get along and you need to photograph each family separately and this, that, the other thing.
You want all of that. All of that, right? It just might not work into your schedule. So doing a first look will give you everything you want and more. And I will say this, a first look is just as special. By yourselves, with each other, it's just as special as seeing each other down the aisle for the first time.
If not, dare I say, more special. And I will tell you why. Because that moment can be set up to be private between the two of you where you can actually be yourselves without worrying that there's 100 million eyes on you. Mm-hmm. It takes the anxiety away. And then you could also do something different. Like let's say, for example, the bride or brides, have veils. Mm-hmm. I will tell them, for your first look, why don't you not wear the veil?
Yeah.
And then put the veil in prior to the ceremony. So there still is a level of surprise for your spouse.
That's a great way to put that.
There are options to give them still that moment. And I'm going to tell you right now, the moment's not going to change.
It's not.
It's going to be the same. It's still going to be epic. It's still going to be important.
You still get the feels from that moment. You do. And as a groom who saw his wife walk down the aisle for the first time, I didn't do a first look. It was special. But would a first look have been just as special? I know it would have, okay? Because seeing her for the first time is the most special thing. And then seeing her walk down the aisle, you don't lose that. Mm-mm. It's still awesome because all the eyes are on her and her eyes are on you. And it's like... Ooh, that was good. That's like a K Jeweler commercial.
Oh, my God.
It's like all the eyes are on her and her eyes are on you. That is good. That's a good quote. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt.
Please don't. It doesn't change the moment for you. I feel like this is just what I've seen. I've seen people cry twice,
Yeah, same.
We have seen people cry twice because the moment is so different the first time you see each other and then the second time because it's so impactful seeing your person get walked down the aisle in front of all of your friends and family. I cried at my friend's wedding. I cried so many times just watching my friends get married.
And you're not an emotional person.
I am not. I have no emotion.
You're a cold soul.
But when you care about something, you care.
It's awesome. It is.
The moment doesn't change. It's still equally as impactful as if you never had it to begin with. But
and take it from experience. We both have photographed almost 1,000 weddings. It's
hundreds of weddings.
I've never seen a couple that did a first look not have an impact, that did a church ceremony or did a ceremony not have that same impact.
I've never seen someone regret it.
Yeah, I've never seen somebody regret it ever. I never have ever had a couple say, I really wish we didn't do that first look.
Yeah.
Ever. it's so worth it. It does save you so much time. It saves you stress. It makes your day go smoother. And if your schedule calls for it, if you build in the time for, if you're doing a church ceremony, you build in that time where you have that buffer time in between where you could do all your photos after your church and in between your cocktail hour, and you can do all that stuff, that's going to work too. Okay. Yeah. We'll make sure that works. But if you don't have that time, don't try to force doing photos.
Yeah.
When you could be enjoying your wedding.
I would also, if you opt to not do a first look and everything is all at one place, then I would just we have to lower your expectations a little bit.
Yeah.
There might be something that we may need to cut out. So those different combinations of family members or individuals of the bridal party members, you might have to cut those out or do them at a different part of the day. During prep, you might have to allot a little bit more time for bridal party pictures separately. You might not be able to get a full bridal party shot depending on how large they are. These are just things that logistically may not work because you'll only have 45 minutes after the ceremony, if that, to do it.
Yeah.
Before they open up the room. So it's just being aware of your limitations and the amount of time that you have and reducing your expectations to zero.
Exactly. Exactly. We like, and we both had weddings where it's, you have a chaotic schedule and you have things and you got to make it work. And like our goal as photographers is always to try to make it work. But like Lauren said, I'm going to, as a photographer, I'm going to give my couples expectations. I'm going to tell them this is what you should expect if this is what we do. Yeah. And they need to understand that. And I put it in writing, by the way, because I want to make sure they understand that we might not be able to do this, or we might have to cut this out, or we might have to, I might have to limit, say you want family photos and you want all these family photos, we might have to limit your groupings to 5 instead of 20, right? Because we're not going to have the time to do the photos with your, Uncle Steve. You
can't give us a 7-page shot list and expect us to do it in 45 minutes.
No.
It's unrealistic.
It's just not going to happen.
We're photographers. We're not magicians. We can't just form photos out of thin air. We can't do that.
Well, maybe AI will do that one day.
Maybe.
And
we'll be irrelevant.
We'll be so irrelevant. Did you see, I think I sent this to you. Did you see there's an app called Fire Your Photographer?
I fucking hate this.
There's actually an app called Fire Your Photographer, and it's all about turning your selfies into AI-generated wedding photos. Do you see this shit? Do you guys see this shit?
I see.
It was an ad that popped up on Instagram.
I'm seeing
Fire Your Photographer.
I'm seeing all kinds of AI generated images where people have extra arms and 17 fingers, and it's just how do you guys think that this is real?
Talk about okay, so Fire Your Photographer. I seen the AI.
It's so fucked up.
I seen the AI generated LinkedIn photos. Okay, did you see those? Where it makes you look corporate. It takes your headshot and it puts you in a suit and shit, and it makes you look all corporate. And it's actually not bad. And I was like, wow, that's kind of impressive, and it's also really scary because maybe people don't have time to do headshots and they want a good LinkedIn profile photo or something like that. And it's pretty damn good. But your wedding photos,
guys,
are you fucking kidding me? Sorry, but a wedding's not about photography. Wedding's not about the photos, by the way. Wedding's about the moment. So you want to fake that fucking bullshit? That's fake. That's bullshit. No, don't you dare Fire Your Photographer app. Don't you dare.
Fire Your Photographer. That is so fucked up. That's so fucked up.
I'm going to come for that. Fucking guy and take him out.
We did an episode where, we talked about evolving with technology. We have to adapt to technology. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Fire Your Photographer.
Now,
fuck you.
Now, here's
fuck you.
Do you think, there were people that would use this app to create their wedding photos? Maybe they didn't get a chance to take their wedding photos.
Maybe. I mean, obviously it has a website. There's somebody using it.
There's somebody using it. How many
There's a market for everyone, I suppose.
It's not too far-fetched that I think this could be a threat down the road, but I don't think... But it's also the authentic thing about it. I'm
just really insulted.
I'm very insulted. But it's also the authentic thing about this, right? You're doing... a wedding isn't about your photos. It's not about your band. It's not about your DJ. It's not about your makeup, hair, anything like that. It's about two people coming together, right? So to have a fake moment is it just doesn't make sense. Having that faked, like, I don't care if a person took it on a cell phone, but being there and just having that's an authentic moment.
You also have
captured.
like a whole demographic of artists who are very upset by AI because their work is basically being taken.
The whole SAG strike is all about AI.
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, it's being misused a lot, you know, where they're taking images that already exist because of actual artists and using them to create AI imagery, which is, you know, fucked up on a lot of levels. So it's like, it's coming to terms with what is happening because it's not slowing down and it's not going away, but it's also like killing artists.
It is. It really is. It's not great. It's not great at all.
You know,
but let's not talk about AI anymore because it's gonna just ruin our day.
My heart hurts.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this one up because this was.
I feel like this was informative.
It was very informative because I think if you're looking
at least elaborating on our point.
So in conclusion about first look, no first look, I think look at your schedule, talk to your photographer if it makes sense for you, couples, okay? Talk to your photographer if this makes sense for you. Photographers advise couples if a first look makes sense. Show them examples of first looks, like really impactful ones so that they can see it and understand it. There's nothing wrong with doing a first look couples. Like there really isn't. Like they're beautiful, they're heartfelt moments, they're amazing, and it's going to be just as impactful as seeing each other down the aisle for the first time, right? There's nothing wrong with doing a first look. And it will allow you to do a lot of it will allow you to do everything you want to do.
You'll be able to do everything on your wedding day that you want to do. You'll be able to go to cocktail hour, greet your guests so you don't have to do it during your reception. You don't have to walk to the tables and greet people. You can actually spend that whole time just enjoying it.
Or just enjoying each other.
Yeah. And that's the ultimate goal for a wedding, right? You paid all this money, you want to enjoy it.
Or eating your sushi tower if that's something you want. Huh? Well, we're going to wrap this one up. Lauren. Where can they find you?
You can find me at LaurenO'BrienPhoto.com, Lauren O'Brien Photo on Instagram, the Feral Photog on Instagram, and on TikTok you can find me at Lauren O'Brien Photo if you haven't already sensed the pattern.
You got. Oh man. Well, you guys can find me at Michael Casara Photo on Instagram, TikTok, as well as my website. You can find us at the Vendor Table Pod on Instagram, TikTok, as well as YouTube. Guys, it's been fun. We'll catch you next time.
Goodbye.